Karibuni sana to the second edition of Converge. One of the key things that we felt very strongly about is how do we get better stories that are going to have impact. We'll be sharing some key insights about what has worked, what hasn't, and we'll also be having people within the industry sharing with us their thoughts and strategies that have worked in the past.
The reason we do these events is because we strongly believe in the power of bringing people together. We strongly believe in the power of sharing insights, sharing stories, and collaborating, because that's where change comes from. It's very rare that an agency will just randomly walk into an NGO and NGO will randomly walk into an agency. So we try to make this that random space where we can connect and have a human conversation about things that matter to us. I want to focus on the catalyst because what I've realized is that that's probably the area of tension that exists the most, that is not addressed on our end, from being the agencies that work with you and the teams that provide the strategies, and on your end in terms of the results that you expect and what you don't see. Digitization has kind of made us all feel like we can do everything, which is not true. How agencies view NGOs, how NGOs view agencies, and everybody has a trust issue. That trust issue, I've actually talked to someone about that trust issue today. So there's a very real gap there where you don't think that this work will get done, and then they don't think that you will appreciate the work that they do. And then you end up in this space where none of you are doing what needs to be done because, trust is important in a relationship, the TORs and so on and so forth. All of those are normally done in such a way that the structures are defined based on the programmatic or the activity needs and not the communication and strategic needs. And that's very much like, baking a cake using chemistry. We've skipped past doing strategy and we've gone straight into execution. We are talking about tactics, and there's a specific way we have to talk about those tactics. The problem with that, again, is that we're saying, does this make sense to us? Not does this make sense to the people we're talking to? When you look at it from that perspective, you find that the hurdles you're trying to jump are not the ones that you're initially planning. Reach should not be a KPI, but it is. It's number one, right? Because if you're amplifying, reach is number one. But if you're trying to show the work to the right people, it's not number one. The demographics, the qualitative should be number one. Sometimes the strategy side of it just means, let's sit down and think, what are we actually trying to do? And then how do we actually get to that solution? First thing is a quote that at this point I should just tattoo on myself. Not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts. I say this because, we've talked about objectives, KPIs, metrics, and a lot of times you will look at these case studies and you'll want to ask a question like, how many people did it reach? That might not count to what success counts for that campaign. And then also at the same time, as we're thinking about it, also think about the impact that can happen without you being able to actually measure it. There's some things that aren't subject to like the number that's attached to them. So three things that I want you to carry with you as you look at each one of these case studies. One, what the definition of success would be. Two, the target and why they should care. And three, how we got them there, right?
All right, so let's dive in. Storytelling is one of the most powerful tools that we have for activating people. So I want to start with Miss Serial Social Entrepreneur here. Talk to us about the value of storytelling for organizations that seek to make changes in society.
Yeah, so thank you so much again for having me. I think for me, and what I have learned, I think over the years doing the work that I do, is that storytelling makes what we're trying to do, the work that we're trying to do, the change that we're trying to drive, relatable to the people that we're speaking to. So I think the case in point, and I think I can share an example of endometriosis, right? It's a mouthful. And just to, again, share, this is a condition that affects over 176 million women around the world, enough to form the 8th largest country in the world. I don't think we used to see the stories of the women who continue to suffer and girls who continue to suffer being highlighted even on media, but I think nowadays, I'm not bragging, but I can because I've done the work. We get now calls to be on panels like this, for example, to just talk about like the impact that we've made. And, now even the fact that I sit on the World Endometriosis Organization Steering Committee representing Africa and the voices of, the different advocacy organizations that are doing work to raise awareness about this condition is evidence of the power of storytelling.